Alrighty, folks, we are with a very special person, an individual who was part of our program. We had the honor of serving him. We're just going to refer to him as T. T, when you were first learning about CMU, take us back to what kind of frustrations, gaps in your personal growth, your relationships, whatever was going on with you that meant that you thought, all right, something needs to change.
Yeah, that is a great place to start. When I found you guys, the place that I was at in my life is, I'll just start to describe it high level. I was going through a breakup of a long term relationship that was over almost a decade. I hadn't been single since I was in school, and now I'm in my 30s. I was going through some pretty catastrophic mental health issues relating that encompass really every part of my core being in my existence. So at that time, it's really a breaking point, right? It's really a rock bottom, a breaking point, and it's a chance for proverbial rebirth if you allow it to be. But in the early stages is when it is the most undefined and the most vulnerable. And at that point, I was looking at the different parts of my life and I was like, I'm not really measuring up in most places. I don't like my character. I don't like my habits. I'm not like my self talk isn't good. My health isn't good. Some things I'm doing right, like my career is fine. Baseline relationships, like friendships, are fine. But I really needed a total transformation. And during that process, I came across you guys as I was trying to look at how can I be the best version of myself? And a part of it is being attractive and being able to pursue the women you're interested in with confidence and with the ability to execute. So at that time, I was lucky to come across this group. And someone through, I think, Reddit pointed me in your direction. And we had basically a preliminary couple calls, one with Coach D and then one with yourself. And I got a chance to high level understand what you guys have been doing for some time and generally what you two stand for as people, and felt enough trust to say, okay, let's go for this for however long it takes, and let's work on myself as I also work on myself on my own time, but also work through the program. So that's kind of how I found you guys. That's the story of where I was at, how I found you, and then kind of how I assessed whether your group is the right to work with.
And I think sometimes it is like an energetic thing, right? Like it has to be the right fit for the individual. So people often have to find us at a point in their life where they understand that the change they need, the type of change they need is quite deep, to be quite honest. And often it requires a bit of maturity for us to reach that conclusion. And you've been really good at being resourceful, accountable. You're always someone who was really data driven, who was able to be very objective and look at the various areas of your life and understand there's a lot I could do to be different here. And I felt as we walked with you on your journey, you were tremendously open-minded to our ideas, and you overall understood the thesis, the developmental thesis that me and Coach D are presenting, and ultimately the mission that we're on. To kind of move us forward then, let's look at, I know we had a really good preliminary call, and I was very excited to serve you and learn more about you. But specifically, could you help us understand what was it about CMU compared to other solutions that thought maybe this has got the mindset shifts that I'm looking for?
Yeah, this is a great question. And I also wanted to start by saying I agree that whoever you're trying to reach must be reachable, right? So that's what you mean by maturity. But when you're trying to go through a transformation, you gotta be willing to get a little dirty, right? So I definitely agree with that concept that you threw out there. Um, so I have a unique experience as to solutions attempted and actually embarked upon. I've never done coaching before, but I did read books. So I read a lot. I read on Reddit. So I know my human experience is not de novo. I know others have had similar experiences and similar questions to me. So the first thing I do is I assess, okay, who asked this question before? What answers did they get? And then what did they learn, right? So that's where I start. And then from there, I read maybe a half dozen, maybe a dozen books. And in my Reddit research, I came across someone that I was speaking to, and then wound up pointing me in the direction of CMU. So my experience with coaching is it's new, and I was lucky to find this group. So one thing that I want to share about your group, which I was stunned by, is the depth of it, right? So it's a lot about internal growth and development. And it's not just about like optics or strategy or tactic. And to me, that was impressive. And I didn't anticipate that at all. When you seek out coaching, I expect things like, okay, you're going to get this type of canned approach. You do it 100 times or 1,000 times, and then you're going to figure it out. That's not really how CMU works at all. It's like you have an identity, you have the problems that you have as a man, and it's on you to figure out how to become the best version of yourself, and everything matters. I'm not going to gas you up and tell you, okay, you're great looking, you're rich, you got this, and get into the game with this canned script and do this 100 times. You're going to be laser at it. Right? That's not what you guys are trying to do. You guys are trying to develop rounded character and actually supplement deficient areas, right? That's unique, and it's the level of depth to it shows differentiation, I think. I don't know the coaching space well, but I don't imagine it being as holistic as what CMU tends to offer the group that I worked with for, I'd say, a handful of months.
I thank you for your observation, TJ, and you recognizing the depth at which we want to go and the extent to which we've constructed a method and we've got a premise that we want to solve the root issue. We want to get that deep into an individual that they can transcend their experience, because ultimately relationships are reflective. You're going to obtain and have the kind of healthy relationships that your internal being and outward being is going to allow you to facilitate. And we've developed a method, of course, but it's also empowering the individual and just relentlessly walking with the men and meeting them where they are and allowing us to create that safe space for us to figure out how can we really get through and drive change with you as an individual. And with you, TJ, I think you've got loads of great abilities, right? So clearly you came with loads of great things in order. Okay, loads of value, very valued member of the group, and every call with you was a sincere pleasure. And it often with people who are finding us where you are, it's only small tweaks to be quite clear, right? You've definitely had loads of success in the past, but really sometimes it's about having the strategic and surgical ability to find what those optimizations are, and it does involve a method, and we were able to do that with you. So talk to us about, as you're going through your transformation, and I do recall you brought a unique set of challenges which you embraced. Talk to us about the hardest part of your transformation, and in relation to some of those things that have been difficulties for you, talk to us about how at this point in your journey you handle those challenges.
Yeah, great question. I think my experience, it might be unique, it might not, but for me, the hardest issue to work through in my transformation journey is definitely ego. And the ego is very protective, right? And it's not something that you have the utmost self-awareness of. It takes actual time and critical thinking and like radical honesty to delve into and get uncomfortable with. But that's something that I think D was able to assess quickly and make me cognizant of, make me aware of. And at that point, that was enough for me to start to think of it at a deeper level myself. So I think that's the hardest thing for me to consistently balance is ego. I see myself in a very strong light. It has gotten me into hot water at times. Don't get me wrong. It's not like it's a double-edged sword, right? So learning to balance it has been something that I've learned and continue to learn, and that D and the program has really helped me with.
See, I like the maturity of how you share that and how you recognize that it is a journey. It's a journey for all of us, and to learn more and to go through more self-discovery and for us to understand our patterns and how we do get into hot water, as you say, so we can develop more conscious awareness of those things, catch ourselves, and kind of like restructure parts of us to have different outcomes, right? I perceive you to be someone who also was very readily doing the work and was very committed to your healing, not only in the program, but in also your lifestyle outside of that, your commitment and the accountability that you have had in your life. And that is ultimately what separates those who recognize their areas of development and then those who go beyond it and transcend it. And it's a journey for all of us. But if we were to look at you today, if we were to look at your, if you like, your pre-CMU version of you, who we recognize was in an emotionally precarious position where, frankly, you just hadn't been in the game for a while, right? Which was interesting, versus the version of you now who's got everything it takes to navigate and get what you seek, no doubt. What would surprise him about the current version of you?
Yeah, to walk through the transformation, when I got to CMU, I was a broken man. I don't know if I was fully willing to admit it. Probably, I think I was based on where I was at. I was at a rock bottom point, as I already addressed, but I was also I was in the thralls of addiction recovery. I was going through a breakup and assessed my life and wasn't happy with most of what I saw, right? That's how I came in. What that person would look at today, the version of me that exists today, and be surprised about is the ability to absorb the ups and downs of life, what I now call like basically uncertainty, to navigate uncertainty in a healthy way without using negative coping mechanisms, without using negative self-talk or ending up in addictive behaviors, but now channeling it into positive behaviors, positive self-talk, and conditioning myself to become the best version of me every day. So the transformation from the rock bottom point when I joined CMU to today, I think it would be stunning, and it would look to that person like a mountain that is possibly impossible to climb, right? So I'm definitely proud of it. I'm definitely thankful for all of the people that have helped me, CMU included, and I have a ton of gratitude for that. And I practice daily prayer and meditation, so it's something that's not lost on me, even the change month over month, day over day. But of course, call it 7, 8 months till now.
There's a special kind of deeper satisfaction that we gain when we grapple with our particular predicaments in life. There's the cliche in self-growth that all challenges are there for our development and our betterment. But at a deeper level, I think it's so interesting when you're looking at patterns that have existed for a long time. In some instances, some things that we've struggled with for a long period of time. And then we do the deeper work and we arrive at these junctures in our life where we decide to change. And when we can do that successfully, what's so interesting is the contrast here between where you were and frankly learning the tools and taking this seriously and giving it focus and moving favorably forward. I think it just sets you up for a really good precedent where the struggles that we have as humans, they're fixable. We can work on these things. And our growth is going to continue to unfold as we mature in life. And that's one of the big things we want to do with CMU, to like get people to embrace inner growth and see it as a lifelong pursuit. Because it's only going to make us happier, more grounded, more effective communicators, having healthier and more positive relationships, which is a really important North Star for our program. Really want to guide people towards that. We're grateful to see that you're recognizing that in yourself, DJ, as we did, as we saw. So I want us to also look at the, if you like, more tangible, visible aspects of it that maybe you've noticed, right? So often people pick up on this. Talk to us about your presence now, your energy, your approach to life and people and social interactions and like your views. How do you think they began to foster and bloom?
Yeah, man, this one's an awesome one, and it pumps me up immediately. The person that I was, call it 8 months ago, was not afraid of the world, but really kept his armor on, kept to himself, was an angry person, unhappy person. And today, I cherish my time. I spend my time in hobbies and positive thought. I make relationships with everyone. I speak to everyone that I come across, whether it's just casual chatter or something more, whatever it is. I'm able to spark these small relationships that some have turned into like solid friendships and relationships. So I think that's something that's really special to me. Other more like tangible changes, I've lost like 30 to 40 pounds, gained 10 pounds of muscle, was promoted at,
Yes.
was commended for being a leader, was given the highest bonus on my team, got through a good stretch of recovery from addiction. I'm at like over 7 months sobriety. So there's been a lot of like tangible markers of change, but the most important thing is the spiritual healing. I've taken the time to work through my traumas, which I never did, which the reason why my breakup occurred is because I wasn't healthy. That's why the addiction was persisting and prevailing, is because I wasn't healthy. So that healing, that spiritual healing, that inner healing, the reckoning with my past and my family, which is something that the coaching at CMU encouraged me to maybe ratchet up at times when I was avoiding it. Those were things that I'm really thankful for because it, sorry, my watch just said something. Those are things I'm really thankful for because they ignited the correct response at key junctures of my development. And those have like translated directly into basically the life force that I wield. I think other people will call like energy or vibe.
Yeah.
But I'm like a happy dude. I go into the world proud of myself and thankful for my existence, right? And that there's no greater, like you can tell me like I now have a six pack and I'm rich forever and like that's great, but am I happy on the inside? That's what I care about.
Exactly.
And that's the marker that I'm the most proud of versus all of the accolades.
I feel like it's almost like an energetic thing in the universe. I mean, as woo-woo as it does sound, when we're in a good headspace, the decisions that we're making, the ways we're relating to people, the energy that we carry, it's when we're talking about abundance and how we cultivate that from within, it starts being a really manifest thing when you feel it and you carry it with you in your interactions and in your behavior, and it bleeds into your life. Yeah. Life is enriched from within, right? One of the powerful things that we always seek to do with people is to show them where their specific wounds are, to help them understand their narratives, what's perpetuating them, the specific constellation of events that created them and their particular things they want to work through. And in doing so, on the other side of that is a progressively more happy human being. And with that, every other goal gets easier. It tends to be easier to accomplish all your objectives when you're not in a tense, adrenalized state. And you can now take that and flourish and move into every other area of your life and be more effective. And importantly, enjoy it, because this is now going to be something that's very fun for you as you move forward and continue to push forward on your goals. So when we think about your next chapter, if you want to share, talk to us about that. What's next for you?
Yeah, it's maintain sobriety, continue to work towards becoming and maintaining my best self, continue to pursue my purpose given to me by God, and strive to put more joy into the world than I take out of it on a daily basis. So something that you just touched on is the abundance mindset. I think the way that I was able to so it's not a term that I use in my inner work, but it is a concept that is similar, and where it stems from for me is more submitting to the will of my higher power. So for me, it's God's journey for me has been put before me, and it's important for me to take everything that comes to me in stride, right? It doesn't mean every woman that I talk to is going to be the one for me or not the one for me, right? Some of it is there's learning along the way. There's so much learning, and that's all beneficial and part of the journey. So for me, what's next is my best self is it's unattainable. Like it's like you have to keep going for it. You go for it every day. It's the process that's the best part. And so you fall in love with the process and you look at your tangible change, and that kind of gives you a bit more power and you keep going. I'll talk a little bit about my long-term future. I think I'm interested in a long-term meaningful relationship. When that may come, that's not in my hands. But I'm completely at peace with the journey in order to get there. And I'm able to balance everything else in my life while going for that goal as well as my main purpose in life. So for me, very happy I met the CMU group. Very glad to have worked with you, and I'm not done working with you guys. Also be around. But have a ton of gratitude. There's one last thing I wanted to touch on with the CMU program itself is the camaraderie of the other group members. Getting the chance to speak with, listen to, learn from like minded individuals who want to be their best self, who want to get uncomfortable. There's value in that beyond, beyond words I can share. You try to put yourself in groups that want to make themselves better. Guess what? You're going to get better. So the camaraderie is something that needs to really be stated.
We are so happy with you being in our community. You're going to be in our chat for life, of course, in our masculine game chat, which we're going to continue to build into a flourishing movement. Me and Dee are going to make this a real big thing. We're fully committed to it. We'll invite you to our public talks in New York. We'll invite you to all the amazing things that we're going to do. And we're going to always look forward to reading about your progress and your journey as you just attain higher levels and find what it is that you seek. And the beauty of the group setting is that we are attracting like-minded people who are interested in self-actualization, human flourishing, of course, abundance, of course, healthy, happy relationships, of course, a life that really gives them joy to be in, which is what fuels the positive upward spiral. That's the culture. That's the standard that we set. We want to continue to celebrate that. You were a great example of that, PJ. And we're so happy with your progress. So happy with the opportunity of work with you. It was a complete delight. And I hope all of CMU and the case study that we create from this celebrates you for the awesome work that you did. And I want us all in our little community, well, little now, but it is going to grow, to keep our eye on you, because I think you're going to have an incredible life, dude.
Thanks for saying that. And it just shows your character and what the program stands for. Thank you for saying that. I'm glad to be a member of the group for life. There's so much more to learn, and I'm not done, but thankful to have gotten a chance to meet this group of people.
A pleasure. And for anyone who's listened to this today, guys, I'm going to say that transformation's possible, abundance is possible, and an absolutely kick-ass life you love being in is your birthright. If you are serious, willing to do the work, our men's group runs every single week. We've got a chat where you will see people like me in there every single day, and there's nothing stopping you from achieving your goals. And if you're interested in reaching your next level this year, you need to DM me on Telegram, and let's get you the transformation you're looking for.